Have you ever felt like you're slowly fading into the background? Like the spotlight has shifted to a younger generation and left you in the dark? You don't hear the words directly, but you feel them in the silence, in the way people no longer ask your opinion, in the way your doctor speaks more about slowing down than building up, in the way women look right past you. And then you start to believe the lie that your best days are behind you. But here's the truth, you're not finished. You're just getting dangerous. If you're a man over 50, the world has whispered a lie to you, subtly, constantly, in 1,000 little ways. It tells you your time is up. You feel it in the silence when younger men stop asking for your advice. You see it in the way doctors talk, no longer about strength, but about slowing the decline. You feel it most in how women no longer see you, as if you've become part of the background. And though it hurts, you swallow it, because that's what's expected. But what they never told you is this: you're not done, you're just beginning. And now you're dangerous. Why? Because for the first time in your life, you have the scars to prove you've fought, the stories to know what matters, the strength that was forged in fire, and not a single second left to waste on anything meaningless. This isn't some motivational fluff. This is your call to arms, not to fight the world, but to rise into the man you were always meant to become. The world may glorify youth, but real power, the kind that cannot be shaken, belongs to those who've lived, lost, endured, and still stand. The older you grow, the less you react, and the more you command. This isn't about theory. This is life, raw, real, and waiting for you to claim it. So if you're ready, let's begin. Because this is your time, not to fade, but to ignite. 1. The power of stillness. Why older men hold the real leveraging men run. They chase women, money, validation, status, likes. Everything is urgent. Everything is loud. It looks like drive, but most of the time, it's just noise. Then something shifts. A man grows older. He stops chasing and starts watching. And the moment he does, the world begins to bend around him. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is strength under command. It's the calm in the eye of the storm, the silence right before impact. A young man feels powerful when he's in motion. An older man, he knows his power comes from knowing when not to move, from choosing his moments with surgical precision. Ever watched an old lion? He doesn't run. He waits, and when he moves, just once, it's decisive, it's lethal, it's done. That is what stillness becomes as you age. Leverage, the ability to sit quietly while the world spins in frantic circles, and you remain anchored in truth. You don't react to every opinion. You don't chase arguments. You don't need to prove yourself, because now, you know, 90% of what people chase doesn't matter. And that final 10%, you can't buy it. You have to earn it. Stillness is what plugs the leaks in your energy, so you no longer waste yourself on things that don't matter. It grounds you, it centers you, and it draws people in, even when you say nothing at all. Make no mistake, people feel it. Women feel it. Men respect it. The entire room changes. When you walk in with that kind of presence, you don't need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to be the one who stared into chaos and didn't flinch. The one who stood strong while others collapsed. Stillness is not the absence of action. It is action rooted in purpose. In a world addicted to speed, a still man becomes magnetic. He becomes rare. And in that rarity, he becomes respected. So if you've earned your silence, own it. Because your stillness isn't the absence of fire. It's the kind of fire that no longer needs to roar to be felt. 2. Unapologetic masculinity. Stand like a man, not a myth. Stand like a man, not some distorted myth. Somewhere along the line, masculinity was rebranded as a problem. Directness became rudeness, strength became aggression, standards became toxic. But here's the truth that no one wants to say out loud. The world is starving for real men, and at the same time, it's trying to shame them out of existence. You don't owe the world your softness. You don't have to shrink yourself to make others comfortable, and you damn sure don't have to apologize for being what you are. Man, they told you to speak softer, to tone it down, to be more in touch with feelings. Feelings you were never meant to carry in the first place, but you weren't made to be tame. You were made to protect, lead, set boundaries. Walk into the fire while others hesitate. Hold the line that too many have abandoned. Masculinity isn't about dominance, it's about discipline. It's not about control, it's about presence. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to fight to be respected. You need only to stand your ground. Calm, clear, unshakable. Start taking up space again. Stand tall, speak slow. Hold your gaze until the world remembers what certainty looks like. You're not too much. You're not outdated. You are what balance looks like in a world that's forgotten where the center is. Let the culture shift. Let the critics complain, but never, ever shrink. Because when a man owns his masculinity without apology, he doesn't just change himself. He gives silent permission to every man watching him to do the same. And that is how we rebuild strength in a generation that's forgotten what it looks like. Point 3. Discipline. Turning the second half into your new prime. Here's the truth. A man's real prime begins the moment he stops living on autopilot and starts mastering himself. For many, that moment doesn't come in their 30s, sometimes not until their 50s, sometimes 60s or later, because youth gives you energy, but age gives you clarity. And when you combine them, when you bring discipline to your experience, you become unstoppable. Discipline isn't about punishing yourself with strict routines. It's about honoring who you've become and refusing to waste what you've earned. It's not about six-pack abs, it's about keeping promises to yourself. Wake up with intention. Move your body, not to impress anyone at the beach, but to be strong for those who depend on you. Eat like someone who understands. Every bite is either building you or breaking you. Want to feel alive again? Then stop numbing yourself with endless scrolling, news overload, and cheap hits of dopamine. Start your mornings in silence, not noise. Read things that sharpen your mind. Write what reminds you of who you are. Walk in the cold, not for likes, but because it reawakens the part of you that modern comfort tries to dull. Discipline is a quiet rebellion in a world of chaos. It's not flashy. No one applauds it, but it transforms you. You stop outsourcing your mental clarity to podcasts, influencers, and motivational reels. You stop blaming your calendar, your past, your age. You begin to realize everything you need is already inside of you, just waiting for you to step forward and claim it. This second half of your life isn't a slow fade. It's the reforging of a man who's done pretending, done pleasing, done wasting time. So reclaim your rituals, reclaim your focus, reclaim your edge, because this isn't about becoming someone new. It's about powerfully returning to the man you were always meant to be. Point 4. The woman question. Why you stop chasing and start attracting. As the truth, the man who chases is often the one who hasn't yet found himself. But when a man comes home to who he is, when he stops reaching outward, something powerful begins to shift. He starts to attract, not with clever lines, not with status, not with youth, but with gravity. Because the rarest thing in the world today is a man who doesn't need anything, a man who is whole on his own, not bitter, not cold, but calm, complete, rooted. And that is what draws in the right kind of woman, not the one chasing attention, not the one looking for advantage, but the kind of woman who recognizes presence, who feels that she's in the company of a man who isn't performing, but simply being. You don't have to fake youth to be loved. Stop hiding the gray. Stop dressing like you're running from time. You're not behind. You're ahead. Own your ears. Wear your story. Let your silence speak louder than charm, because there is nothing more magnetic than a man who moves through the world with the quiet confidence of someone who no longer needs to be chosen, but would be a gift if he was. You're not invisible. You're just no longer trying to be seen by the wrong eyes. 5. Legacy. When every day becomes a page in the store. A legacy isn't what you leave in a will. It's in the boundaries you held, the values you passed down, the moments you stood alone and stood anyway. And no, it's not too late. It's never too late to become the man your story has always needed, the man your family will remember with pride, not because you were rich, but because you were real, because you meant something, because your presence had weight. So stop living like your story is winding down. Start living like it's time to carve your name into something that lasts beyond flesh. This is legacy mode, not louder, not flashier, just truer, deeper. Final form. From here on out, every day is a page in that legacy. Make it count. So now, stop waiting. Stop asking for permission to be powerful again. You've lived too much, lost too much, learned too much to keep playing small. Start living like the man they'll remember. Not for how loud he was, but for how solid he stood. Be the one whose name gets mentioned when a younger man says, "He showed me how to be one." You're not past your prime. You're standing at the very edge of it, right here, right now. This is the age where your calm is more dangerous than another man's rage, where your presence carries more weight than anyone's praise, but only if you claim it. So, if something in this stirred something in you, if you felt a flicker of fire you thought had long gone out, say it, write it, own it. I'm not done, because you're not. You're just getting started with clarity, with purpose, and nothing left to prove. Let this be the beginning, not of your end, but of your final and most powerful form. We don't need more noise. We need men who walk with gravity, who speak with weight, who live with legacy. And remember this, age doesn't make you weaker. It makes you sharper if you let it. Maybe you once believed your best days were behind you, that your strength, your presence, your impact had faded with time. But the truth we've uncovered together says otherwise. You are not fading. You are reforging. You've learned to slow down, not because you're weaker, but because you've become wiser. You no longer chase. You no longer need to prove, because you've lived long enough to know what truly matters. You've learned to turn stillness into power. Make discipline your compass. Let your masculinity stand unapologetically. Attract not with noise, but with inner gravity, and above all, to live for legacy, not applause. You don't need to become a younger version of yourself. You need to become your fullest form, grounded, respected, dangerous in stillness. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs men who walk with presence. It needs you. So the final question is not, how much time do you have left? But what will you do with the time you have? Live in a way that, if one day a young man asks, "How do I become a real man?" they will answer by saying your name.